Hi guys, this is Vishal here from Trapcode. So in this video, we will understand how to create a client portal using Trapcode. So we will be creating a multi-tenant client portal where there could be a number of clients. Each client can access their data, they can create tasks, they can raise requests, they can view their invoices, accounting, a lot of things. And at other side, there's a project managers or the vendor, basically the company for who those clients are. So they can basically create new clients, add team members of the client, and interact with the data or interact with the client on the client portal. So let's see how that can be done on Trapcode. So I'll start with a fresh project so that you understand each and everything step by step, that what all is needed or what all can be done to build a meaningful client portal. So I'll create a project. I'll create a blank project. So I'm starting from scratch and just give it name, let's say client portal. That's all. So project got created. So I'll add authentication. So for now, I'll just choose the default security settings and then we'll configure it later that what all roles we need. Okay. So plugins we'll leave for now. I'll do all these things later. Let's start building the app. Okay, so when you're building a project on Trapcode, the very first thing or the most important thing is the database schema or the collections, right? So basically how you want to store the data, what all collections are there, what all fields in those collections and everything. So once you have that thing sorted out, then everything is much straightforward, much clear. So we'll start with that part only. So by default, we have already installed the login plugin. So it has given me user and role. We'll come back to this a bit later. So before that, let's create all the collections which are needed. Okay. So in the client portal, which we are planning to build, we will have a couple of collections. Like first of all, we'll have a client collection. So basically that's a very high level collection, or you can call it a tenant, that everything belongs or like will be get associated with that client, because whether the task is getting created, whether the tags are getting created, whether feature requests, some suggestions, some billing details, all those things are specific to a client. So client here will behave as a tenant. Okay, so we will create a collection for client, then we will create a collection for projects. So client can have multiple projects and each project can have multiple tasks. So there will be a collection for task, a collection for invoice. So basically whenever we want to bill clients, we raise an invoice and we upload the invoice on this portal also, so that clients or their team members can download it if needed. We will be creating tags. So like task can have tags, so we can create tags. And then team members and all those things. So let's start with the very first collection, which is, let's say, client. Okay, so I'll say client. So client will have a name. So we'll just keep it very simple. So first field is name. Let's say I'll say a date, which is onboarding date, or let's say start date. So when this client has started with us. Okay, and maybe image, which is, let's say, logo of the client. So maybe we want to show some personalization to the client so that when they log into their portal, they see their logo, their branding. So validation I'll leave for now. Okay, so client will have name, start date, logo, and maybe let's say website. Okay, and I'll keep one more field, which is address. Or instead of address, let's collect their country. Okay, so I'll create a static option and let's say from which country the client is. An option, let's say for now, I'll just say USA, Canada, UK, India. So these are the few of the countries we'll add, and later we can increase this list. Okay, so these are the fields which we have created, that what is the name of the client, when he has started, their logo, the website, and the country. That's all. Okay, so I'll come back to collections. So let's create one more collection. Basically this collection is for projects. So I mentioned client can have multiple projects and each project can have their own task. So I'll say project. That's all. Project will have, let's say, name of the project. This is one field. Another field, description of the project. Again, same date field, start date, that when we started the project. Or actually, start date is not needed. We already captured these fields, which is created at, created by, updated at. So created as it actually the start date. Okay, so I'll just say name and description, maybe department and all those things you can add later if needed. Okay, so I'll keep this as it is. Then let's create another collection to store task. Okay, so I'll say task, or like you call it ticket, whatever you want to call. So I'll call it task. So the task will have a title or the name of the task. I'll call it title, which is a text field. Okay. Other thing could be task, let's say start date, or I'll say due date. Okay, when the task should be completed, optional field. After that, a task will have a description. Okay, so it can be a large text, or I'll just keep it for text for now. Description. So task is titled, due date, description, and then that whom the task is assigned. Okay, so I'll say reference field, and I'll say assigned to that who is the team member who is working on the task. Okay, so this will be a user. Okay, and I'll just want to display the username, basically the email of the user. In the user collection, these fields are default, so we can create first name, last name, we can create that employee ID, but for now I'll just display username. Okay, this is fine. Anything else for task? Title, due date, description assigned to. Task will also have a lot of attachments, so for that we will create another collection, because it will be a task will have multiple attachments, so we'll create another collection for that. Okay, and what else for task? Okay, task will have a status and the priority. Okay, so status I'll prefer to keep it from a separate collection, so that each client can create their own statuses or own tags, right? So that they can create on the basis of priority, P1, P2, P3, someone needs medium, high, someone needs something else like a quotient, so they can create their own tags. Okay, for that let's go and create a collection. I'll create a collection, let's say tag. Okay, so these will be tags for each client, and tag will have just one name, which is name. Okay, so now since all these are specific to a tenant, so let's create a collection reference as well in all this. So this will get easy when we have that multi-tenant plugin installed, which we'll cover in some other video. But for now, let's just go and add a reference field of tenant in all these collections, so that each task, project, and everything gets filtered on the basis of tenant. Again, the tenant is client. So I'll say client. So this is the most important piece to build a multi-tenant SaaS, where you say that each record belongs to a specific tenant, right? So that when a team member of the tenant logins, they will only see the data for the tenant, project of the tenant, task of the tenant, tags of the tenant, and everything. Okay, so I'll say client, which is a reference of client, which is fine. Let's go and add the client to other collections also. So client is fine, project. So project, do the same thing. I'll say add field, that which client this project belongs to. Okay. Client. So let's do another collection. Tags we have already done. Task are anyways getting assigned to project. Okay, project belongs to client, so it's not necessarily needed for to put a client reference, but it's a good practice, so that you know that you have two level of checks. One is that which client, and then is which project. Okay, role we don't need. Roles are global. For user, definitely we need. Okay, so I'll add couple of fields in the user. First, I'll say full name. This is the full name of the person or the user. Second thing we'll add is client, that which client this user belongs to. Okay, and username is basically email. So just change it to email. Okay, that's all. So email, password, role, full name, and the client. That's all what is needed from user. Let's create more collections. So we have client, project, tag, task. So let's say I want to a user to basically suggest feedback or suggestion. So they can basically provide their feedback that what is they are expecting, what the experience is, maybe if they have some suggestions. So all those things they can put it here. So I'll say title of the feedback. Okay, and then same thing, we need a reference of client, that which client team members has given that feedback. Okay, so I'll say client. Then let's create one more collection called feature request. So let's say if they want to raise, they are expecting some feature. So feature request. Same thing, the title or the description of the request. Another thing is client. Again, we want to put that client everywhere, right? So that we can separate the data that which client has asked for this. Name, this is fine. Then I'll add one more thing here, basically a static option, that what is the status of this feature request. So when the client creates it, we'll say submitted. Once we are reviewing it, we'll say under review. When the team is working on it, that in progress. And let's say when we plan to do it sometime but not actively working on it, we'll say on hold. Okay, so these are a couple of statuses we want to give to that feature request, so that when client creates a request, they know that where the feature is, or where the feature is in the roadmap, whether it's under review, it's in progress, on hold, or just submitted by them and not yet taken. So I've created a field, so this is fine. Now let's create one more collection, last collection, basically to capture the invoices of the client. So we'll say here we will just upload the invoices from our accounting system and client team can download it. Okay, so I'll say invoice. So invoice will have invoice number, which is a text. Okay, I'll say issue date. Another thing would be due date. Another thing could be actual invoice file, invoice document. Okay, so invoice has an invoice number, due date. Okay, maybe a number for amount, which will wrap it into currency. Okay, later using try field. And after that, there is one more field. Let's say static option called status, which is invoice is paid, overdue when it is not paid for a specific amount of time. Okay, send means when the invoice is sent to the customer. Okay, rejected when the customer, maybe there is some dispute, they don't want to pay it and we have raised some other invoice, we'll say mark it as rejected and archive. Okay, that's all. So create these fields. And same thing, we need to put a client reference. We have not done it yet. No. Okay, so basically that for which particular client this invoice is. So why we are putting a client reference everywhere? Because we want to segregate the data on the basis of client, which is a tenant for us. That's all. So invoice number, due date, issue date, status, and all these things. So now we have created a collections for the client portal. The collections are client, a very high level collection, then a project, task in the project, tags for the task, then a feature request if client want to request some feature, feedback, suggestion, and then invoices, right? So I think this covers the basic things which are needed for a client portal. Now we'll start building the UI and the other things. So we have created the collections. Now create the roles. Okay, so basically what all different type of users are there, and on the basis of the roles we will create their dashboard, their account, where they can basically access the client portal. Okay, so I'll go back to my collections and let's go to role. And let's add couple of roles. So by default a role called user gets created, so I'll just delete it, I don't need it. Okay, so I'll add role. So the very first role in the system will be a super admin. Super admin is something which is from the team of the person or the company who is hosting this client platform. In our case, we will be, let's say we launch it for our customers, so we will be the super admin. So in your case, if you launch it for your end user, then you are the super admin, basically who has access to everything on the system. Okay, so one is super admin. After that role, we'll need a client admin. So when we invite a client, the very first user or the person who can access data or who can invite their team members is a client admin. Okay, and then we have client team members basically. So the difference between admin and team members could be something, let's say team members cannot see the invoice, team member cannot add new tags, okay, but they can create tasks, maybe they cannot create new projects. So on the basis of what exactly you need, so we just create a client admin and a client team member. Okay, so I'll say client team member. Okay, and then we need one more role, which is a project team member. Basically client team member is the people from the client side. Now we need one people or team members from the vendor side also, right? Or basically from the company who is launching this client portal, right? Because they will be interacting with the client, right? So client will create a request, their team member can see it. Or let's say if you're launching it for vendors and client, then obviously you need these vendors. Okay, so I'll say add role. So if you are launching it more like a client vendor thing, so at one place there's a vendor, other place there are clients, so you need to create one more entity called vendor, and clients can create tasks, vendor can see, so that can be done. Here we are not creating vendor part because we ourselves are vendor, or let's say the super admin is vendor, and only people who they are interacting is the clients. Okay, so this is vendor team member, so I'll call them as project manager. Okay, so basically this is the person who is overseeing that project. So whatever clients queries, client requests come, they will come to this manager, they will respond to it, and then they will upload invoices and then interact with the client. So these are the 4 roles which we have: project manager, team member, client admin, super admin. One thing which you need to make sure is you need to create the same roles in production environment, because as of now you see we are creating the roles in test environment or the preview or staging. Okay, once you go live, obviously people will be accessing in the production environment. So all the data gets created separately for production, which is and for test, so that you don't end up creating junk data, dummy records for actual use case. But roles, you will just need to create the same roles again. So I'll choose my production environment and create the same roles. One more super admin, just make sure the spelling are correct. Okay, or you can just copy paste it so that you don't end up doing errors. So I'll just copy, just client team member, go to production, add role, client team member, don't give any extra space. Copy client admin, and I think there is one last role remaining, which is project manager. So I'll just copy that also. It's project manager. So the collections are done and the roles are done. Okay, so we are good with the collection side. So now let's start building the UI, building the flow. So first what I'll do, I'll create the super admin dashboard, super admin flow, which has access to everything. Then we will create client dashboard and all those things. So what I'll do, I'll just go and add a page. So a couple of pages got created by default from the login plugin. We are not using all of them. We will use the login and sign up, but other we'll just create a overall. So I'll say super admin dashboard, which I'll call it as admin dashboard. For client dashboard, we'll just call it client dashboard. A blank page, and we'll say only the person with super admin role can access this. Okay, so when super admin will log in, they will land on this page that we will configure in the login plugin. So we have created a blank page which only super admin role can access. Okay, so this is it. Now I want to design it. I want to give some header, some sidebar to it. So for that, let's go and create snippets, because we will be reusing those again and again. So it's always a good practice to create headers, footers, sidebar using snippets, so that you build it once and then use it wherever you want. And if you do changes in the snippet, the changes will get reflected everywhere. Right? So this is advantage of using snippets. So I'll say admin header or admin navbar, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now I need a navbar. So either I can basically use a navbar component which we already have like this, or there is another way that, let's say you like some bootstrap theme, you like some bootstrap component, you can copy it from here. So I'll go to a site called Bootstrap, and they have several navbars. So Trapcode behind the scene use Bootstrap framework, so you can just copy paste any Bootstrap HTML CSS as it is, and it will work seamlessly. So I'll open this header, and these are the headers. Let's say I want to use a header like this for admin. Okay, so because it has this cool feature, sign out and all these things. So let's say I want to use this header everywhere. So I'll just inspect element and copy this complete HTML. Okay, so inspect element, I think this is the one. So I'll just copy the complete HTML. Okay, so I'll go back to my snippets, go to the component, drop a custom HTML component and just paste this, the header. So the full header is here. If I want, I can basically move it outside of the HTML component. Okay, I can just move it like this. I don't need this. So my header is here, and it has customer inventory, search. We don't need search bar. I'll just remove it. Okay, setting new projects, I just keep as it is. We'll change it later. Okay, so the very first thing is dashboard. Okay, then admin will, let's say, projects, then clients. Actually it should be clients and then projects. Okay, then let's say feature request, or actually we'll include all these in the left menu. Okay, for now I'll just say clients, projects, that's all. Okay, everything else we'll include in the side menu. So this is an SVG icon. I think we don't support SVG, so I'll just remove it. We can put some logo or something here later. Okay, for now I'll just keep it as it is, and I'll create one more snippet for the sidebar. So I'll say admin sidebar. Snippet got created. Same way we go here, so they have a lot of cool sidebars, so I'll just copy any one of them. So let's say for admin, use this black one. Okay, so I'll inspect element. This is the sidebar. I'll just copy it, come back in the components, custom HTML code, remove this, add our code and embed. So a sidebar is here. Let's move it outside of this layer. Okay, for some reason the width is not the height is not 100%. Okay, let me see why. VGDAR padding flex column deflex. So let's give them some height. Okay, in the dimension, I'll say instead of height auto, I'll say let's try 100%. Okay, this is working fine. This is good. The class active is actually making it blue. This is white. Okay, I'll remove the active class and I'll add this class called text white so that all of them look similar. Okay, so now let's add the option. So I'll say admin portal. First option is dashboard. Second option is, I would say, clients. Third option is projects. Then feature request. Then feedback, suggestions. Okay, and then we need more options. I think we had tags, so I just maybe super admin want to see all the tags, so I'll just duplicate tags and what all collection we created. So I'll say invoices and let's say users, basically team members. So I'll just call it users. We will display on the basis of which client, what role, and all those things. Okay, so this is a side menu for basically admin, and this is a nav bar for admin, what we created previously. So now let's go to the admin dashboard and adjust this or put this in the dashboard. So I'll go to admin dashboard and go to the components and the snippet. So the very first snippet I need is admin header. So it is here. The second snippet I need is admin sidebar. So sidebar is here. If you don't need these options, if you want them to be shifted towards the left, right, all these things can be done. Let's do one thing. Let's divide this page into two parts. One part for the left menu, other part for all the content and the header. Okay. So I'll go to my components and drop a section and let's build it a 2-column layout. Okay. I'll tell you why I am doing all this. So let's go to the layer manager. In the section, let's just put the container. So by mistake, I put it inside the snippet. So I've just moved it outside of the snippet. Okay. In the container, we have row, and in row, we have 2 columns. Okay. So first, let's make the container full width. So instead of fixed, I'll say fluid. Now it occupies the whole width. Okay. This is fine. It has 2 columns, column 1 and column 2. So now column 1, I'll just make 2/10. Basically here you see 2 of 12, basically half of the, 2 by 12, 1/6 of the screen. Okay, same thing for a small window, 212, and for smaller windows I'll just leave it as it is. Okay, and then the other column we'll make 10 by 12. So this is a bootstrap grid system where you can divide the pages into a number of vertical slices. So we've divided into 1 by 6 and 5 by 6. So in this 1 by 6, I'll put my snippet, basically my sidebar. And other part, I'll just move my, so in one column, I have added my sidebar. Other column, I'll add my header. And all of them inside a container, that's all. So now if you see, it will be much better. Okay, so here in the sidebar, we have given a height, I think, of 286. So I'll just remove that hard-coded height. Okay, and then this will be correct. So for now, I'll just remove this padding and margin. I think there is some padding left, right, 12 pixels. So that's why it is showing this white area. So I remove it. Now it is stick to the right. So there's some overlap, and this overlap is coming because in our snippet, the sidebar which we have copied, the I think the width is fixed. So let's just go and see. In this, you can see flex. This is fine. Dimension, you see width is fixed. So I'll just make it 100%. I'll say just whatever is the outer component, just take the full width. Although it looks bad here because it is taking the full width of this page, but if you go to the admin dashboard, it will take the full width of the 2 by 10 part which we have given it. Okay, so this is it. So how this is look like, looks like, this is the container. So let's give some fixed height. So column, this is row, this is container. Okay, in the dimension, height is auto, I'll say 100%. Let's say I'm just trying just to so that the page take the whole height. Okay, has anything happened? No. So let's give the height 100% to the row also 100%. Okay, now I think it is working. Okay, this is good. So here there is still some padding. Okay, same thing. So basically columns come with some 12 pixel padding towards the left and right so that you can differentiate between row and column, and that's why it was looking like this. Okay, so I think everything is good now. Admin dashboard is here. All these links are here. Top menu are here. This is here. And this is here. Probably we don't need it, so I'll just remove it from the snippets. Okay, so I'll go to admin sidebar and I'll just remove this part because this is something which we don't need. You can keep it if you want, but yeah, in our case, I don't see any value, so I'll just remove it. Okay, this is it. These pages we will link once we create these pages. Now let's go and fix the login event so that when we log in as an admin, we land on this page. Okay, so I'll go to my login event. Now either I can create it from fresh or I can just fix this. So I'll say if the role is super admin, take them to admin dashboard. Okay, and success failure message, these are all default. Okay, so this is it. All these things will come back again and fix later, that when other role people log in, where they'll go. Okay, so this is fixed. Now let's create one super admin. So I'll go to my collection and create a user. So I'll create a user. Okay, and the role is super admin. Full name super admin. Client, we don't need any client because super admin will not belong to any client. So it is without client. So just leave client as blank. So this is done. Now let's preview the application. So when I log in as super admin, it will take me to the super admin page. Okay, we are seeing this error page because by default it lands on a home page and home page has nothing, right? So it is taking us to the this error page. So maybe we can add something to this home page, or we can basically make our login page as a home page. So for now, I'll just add some component to this. So I'll go back here and let's try to add something. Blog, carousel, footer, hero section. Okay, so I see this. Let's say I want my page to look something like this. So I'll just go here, copy the whole div, the container, copy element, come back here in the component, drop a custom HTML block and just paste this. That's all. So it is here. The image will not come because maybe because of URL. Okay, so let's go and upload some image or search some image. Let's say client portal. I need a medium size. Small is also fine, but yeah. The image is here, so I'll just drag and drop and I'll remove this page. Okay, so welcome to client portal instead of button, I'll just basically put a link, and we will take the user to login page on click of this link. Login. If you want this login link to look exactly like this, you need to copy all these classes: BTN, BTN primary, BTN LG, PX4, ME, MT2. So I'll just copy this so that you see how this looks like, and remove all the classes which were added by this. Button I'll keep added this because this was already there. So BTN primary. So I'll log in and BTN primary. So this is like this. BTN LG. So BTN LG. You see now more or less they are same. One class is remaining, which is PX4. So this is how you copy something from some external library and then just apply all the CSS and it will be as it is. So now this is a link and we'll take it to the login page. We'll say on click of this link, take me to the login page. That's all. Default, I'll just keep it as it is, or you can remove this button, or you can just change it if you want. So now if I load my home page, which was previously showing me error, it should show me this hero section with a link to a login page. You see, this is how it is coming up. So we are able to use Bootstrap component as it is. Bootstrap HTML as it is. So I'll click login. It will take me to the login page. So obviously this login form and this is different because it is not coming from any Bootstrap UI. You can again change it as you want. So just log in with my super admin which we just created. Super. And let's log in. Okay, user does not exist. Maybe I've entered a wrong user. Save. So the email is super@email.com. This is correct. Password is 123456. Maybe I forgot the password. Okay, looks like I forgot the password. Sorry. I know why it is not working, because we have created the user in a production environment and we are testing it in the preview environment. So we need to create user in the preview environment also. So basically you can have different users in production and preview environment. In preview, it is mostly test users by your dev team or when you are building it. And in production, these are the actual users. Okay, so that is the difference. So I'll create one same user. It's completely up to you if you want to create same user or you want to create different user. For this demo purpose, I am using the same user. Now I log in, it should work. Okay, it worked successfully. And I will land to the admin dashboard which we have created. Ignore this height. I think there's some CSS thing which we need to fix. Because I think it takes the height of the parent component, and the parent component in this case is the container, which is only this much height. Okay, or maybe we'll give, let's say, okay, we'll come back to this later. But you see, everything else is working. This is here, all the options are there. So now let's start implementing these pages. Now let's implement the flow for these left menu options for the admin, right? So admin can see all the clients, they can see all the projects, they can see all the feature requests. So we'll just create the list pages and probably a create on an edit flow. So create and edit I'll leave for the scope of this video because those are very straightforward, and then we will focus on the client side, right? The client, how they create new tasks, how they create projects and all those things. But for admin, let's just create list of these pages so that admin can see the data, they can edit and delete, which we'll implement later. So I'll go back to my pages. Now let's start adding pages. Okay, so the very first page I need is the client list for admin, super admin. So I'll say admin client list. Okay, and I don't want to create these pages from scratch again, so I'll just copy from my admin dashboard and I'll say super admin role. So only person with super admin can access this page. So I'll say create. Page got created and it got copied exactly from the admin. Okay, so in the component I can just drop a data table, but before dropping a data table, let's put some header so that we know what this is. Okay, and let's drop a section. Let's drop something like something like this. Okay. It has actually dropped it, I think, above the snippet. Let's see. Okay, this is it. This image we can change. Okay, I'll just add this image, or let's search for another image. Search image, I'll say people. Let's use this image. Okay, I'll upload a large image because this is a big paragraph, and I'll just replace this. Okay, I think this is also a small image, so I'll just change the properties and of this image. Let's go to the decoration, to the background. I'll say background image. Sorry, let me just reload. So I'll remove this image from here. We'll add a background and come back here. So I just reload because sometimes when you add image or something, they don't get reflected immediately. So in that case, just reload the builder. So I'll go here in the decoration, in the background. I'll say image, use this image. Okay, I'll remove the one. That's all. So let's not worry too much about it. I'll just give it some fixed height. Okay, instead of 32, let's make it 100. That's all. Don't worry about it too much. Okay, and I don't need all these headings and all, so I'll just remove these headings, remove these columns, because I just need one column and just display the list of clients. So I'll just make it 12, and I'll remove all these things and just drop a data table component. I'll say clients and drop a data table component. So basically we display the list of all the clients. That's all what we want to do. Get content from collection, which collection, from client, and all clients. That's all. Okay, we want to display all clients. We don't need all these filters for now, so I'll just remove. Okay, website, start date, name, logo we don't need here, so I'll just remove it. You can display logo if you want. Okay, first thing will be name, second is country, start date, website, and edit and delete. That's all. And this is the pagination. This is an extra row layer. I can just remove it. You can actually see from layer manager if there is something extra. If you want to remove, just remove it. So this is the row where that heading is coming, and this is the data table box. So this is, I think we've already removed this. Okay, that's all. So as of now, there is no client in the collection, so I don't think you will see anything. In fact, nothing will come here. We need to link client to this button. Okay, so I'll go back to my snippet. In the sidebar, we'll just link this page to the client page which we've just created. So I'll go to clients. In the settings, I'll just click client list page. If you see, all these were copied from Bootstrap, but Trapcode is able to identify them, and we are able to access the properties of all these components, HTML components, as it is. Okay, so now if I reload the page, this page, the client link should work. Okay, and it should show me the clients. As of now, we don't have any clients, so let's go in the database and create a couple of clients. So I go to the database. You need to remember whether you are accessing the application in preview environment or production, right? Because the data will vary. So I'm being in the preview environment, so I'll just copy from preview. So it's my client is Microsoft. start date, some date, choose file. I don't have a logo, so I'll just skip it for now. Country, this is the drop down which we have given, right, when configuring data. So let's create one more client. So these are the clients. Okay, logo we have not added, hence it is not coming here. So I click the clients. Now this will take me to the clients list page, and I am seeing my clients here. Okay, so the data which we have created. Let's go create a list for projects, for feature requests, for feedback, tags, invoices, and user. So I'll quickly do it, and then we'll continue with the client side of this, like so a client login, client onboarding, and all those things. Okay, so let me quickly build all these pages. So now we have created the pages for all the different list pages for admin, which is client list, feature list, feedback, invoices, project. So now let's go and connect them to the left menu for the admin. So I'll go to admin sidebar and connect all these. So dashboard, let's connect to dashboard, which was admin dashboard, which is it. Clients we already connected. Projects, let's connect to project list. Feature requests, let's connect to feature request list. Feedback, let's connect to feedback list. Tags, let's connect to tag list. Okay, I should have named it admin tags, so I just named it tags. Invoices, let's connect to invoices. And users, let tags to users. Okay, so we have created all these list pages and then connected them to respective admin left menu option. So I'll just reload the page. Okay, so this is here. I'll click clients, we will see the clients. Okay, we are already on clients. If I click projects, I'll see all the projects. As of now there is none, so we will not see anything. Okay, we'll see feature request, same thing, feature request, users, and all these things. We have created one user, so let's go and see if we are able to see that user. Yes, we are able to see the user. Let's fix this margin thing. Okay, it should be aligned towards the left side because I can see there is some gap. So let's go and just fix this so that you also know that how to fix all these things. So here you see there's gap, constant gap here and there. So this is the reason. So I'll just remove the padding. So to the left, to the right, we didn't need padding, so this is fine. This data table has some padding toward the left and right, so I'll just make it 0. Okay, now let's go to the parent layer, some padding. And I think the container which is here is fluid. Sorry, yeah, I think it's fixed width. So okay, this is fluid, this is fine, this is fine. This container is fixed width, so I'll make it fluid so it occupies the 100% width in which it is lying. Okay, but there is still some gap. So what I'll do, I'll just add some margin towards the left. So let's say 20 pixels so that user gets shifted towards a bit of right. This is fine. Now let's go and reload this page. So all these things should be aligned. At least the user and table should be aligned. Yes, it is much better. So this is how you basically do some fixing. So this part is done. Let's implement the logout flow also. Okay, so let's go here to the snippet, because that this is coming from a snippet. So just bind the logout event. So I'll go to admin header. If you want, you can also link the top menu which are coming here. So let's say if you want to link this to, let's say, features, I can just link this to admin features page, which is this profile, and all these things we'll implement later. Client, let's say admin clients list, and projects, let's say admin projects list, admin project list, and sign out. Let's bind the event. So we will not choose the page here. Instead of workflow event, we'll choose the logout event, that whenever someone click this, just log them out. Okay, new project, all these things we'll do later. So I'll come back here, just reload the page. So these links should start working, and this should also start working. So if I click projects or clients, it should take me to the clients page. I just clicked it, clients page. See, it's a client page. We have not fixed it, so that's why it is coming like this. And this will basically log me out. So if I click log out, it should log me out. Yes, we are logged out. So this covers a bit of admin part, that when you are building an application, how to build an admin or a super admin section which sees all the data and then can create, edit, update, delete, manage everything, right? Now let's build the client part, where first we will add the capability in admin to create new clients. Then the client can log in and then add their team members, create project, and all those things. Now let's add the capability for super admin to create new clients and invite their team members. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go and create a page to create basically new client. Okay, so we will create two pages. One, let's say admin will create a client and then add the very first team member, which is I'll say the admin of that particular client tenant. Okay, or let's say the owner of that account, client account. Okay, so I'll say admin create client. Okay, I'll create a page from an existing page and say only super admin role can access this and create. So it will just create a page with left menu, top bar, so that you don't have to drag and drop them again. And instead of this data table, I'll just drop a collection form. So I'll say create client. Now I'll go to my components and let's drop a 2-column layout and drop a collection form. The form is to create client. Okay, that's all. So you can work with this padding and all. Okay, because like how you want to align. But yeah, this is basically how a client gets created. So all this 12 pixel padding everywhere, just go and remove it. So this will be completely aligned. So this is a column. So it has created a client form. Now let's add the action. So basically what we want to say, we want to save this data and proceed to create a team member. Okay, so these classes we can remove and we can add the regular bootstrap classes, which is button, btn primary. Again, all these are cosmetic stuff, so you can just leave it to do as you want. lg, and I'll just change it to, instead of submit, I'll say continue. So what we'll do, we'll first create a client, we'll go to the next page and then create a team member. So let's create other page also, which is add page, admin, create client admin. Okay, so here we are basically creating an admin or the team member who will be basically the first user of that client. So I'll say copy from, I'll just copy from this page only. Okay, so I'll just change the form, create. So we are creating the client and then we are creating a owner of that particular client, basically the very first team member of that client. So I'll say create client admin. Instead of collect client form, now I need a user form because I am creating a user. Okay, and we'll have to do some adjustment, which we'll see how we'll do. I'll say user. Event we'll create just now. Okay, so this is the user role and all these things, and for which client. Okay, so now let's go and create events. So the very first event is, we'll say create client by admin, create client by admin. And very first thing we'll say in the collection, save data. Which collection? In the client collection, which is client. Constructor, all these things we'll leave default. Say client added error, and that's all. After that, I'll navigate, I'll say redirect to where? To the next page. In which page? Basically to create the client admin. Okay, so create client admin. I'll say send current item ID. So this is something which is needed. What we are saying, whatever the ID is coming from the client, take them to the page, and I'll show you why we are doing it. Okay, I'll show you. Let's create one more event. Basically now to create the client admin. Admin create client admin. So same thing, I'll say in the collection save data. Now that data will get stored in user collection. Okay, I'll say client admin added successfully error. Same thing, after that probably we'll just redirect them to the client list page so that they can see the newly created client list page, client list page. That's all. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's go to the pages. So first I'll go to the client list page. We will add a button there to create new client. So here let's just create a button to add new client. So what I'll do, I'll go to my components and drop a two section layout here. Okay, why I'm doing it? Because in one section we'll just put this label, the heading, and the other section we'll just put the button or the link. So I'll say link, and it will take me to create client page. Okay, and I'll make this right aligned so that button is towards the right. Let's say create client large. That's all. Now let's save this and reload the page. Basically log in as a super admin again. So we will now try creating a new client. Okay, So let's go to the client list page. So this create client will take me to the create client form, right? So I'll just click it. So the create client page is here. All these things I can add, which is let's say I'll say client name is Google, start date, some start date, logo. I can upload the logo of Google. Website, I'll just load website. In the country, okay, which is US. Now continue. So this will basically take me to the next page, but as of now it will not do it because we have not binded the event to this form. Okay, so it is showing me error, which is obvious. So let's go to the page and bind this event to the form. Okay, we have not binded events, right? So once you have created an event, you need to bind it to the form so that the form know what it needs to do. So this event, you say, I'll say create client by admin. So this is the first event we'll bind, and to the next page we will bind the second event where we are adding a client admin, okay, to that particular client profile, which is this event create client admin. So now let's go here, reload the page, do it again, Google, some start date, some logo of Google, website, in country. Okay. Now I'll continue. So it has created a client. If you go to the database and you see, you will be able to see the client. So let's go to the database and see the client. The client will be there. So the client got added. Now the next thing is to add a team member to the client. So there are two approaches to it. One is you create a user using this, and in the client list you choose Google. So this will get added to Google. Other option could be, since we already have the client ID coming in the URL, you can just keep the client hidden and pass it as a hidden field, or pass it through the constructor so that when this user gets created, you don't have to give these values by default. So let's say role, you can always pass it as a hidden field, or in the constructor that give them a client admin role. So admin will not have to select it. And the same thing, a client Google, because we already know that this person is going to get added to Google, right? So these are the things which we'll cover in the other part when the project members are basically adding tasks and projects. So we will have to pass couple of things as hidden or in the constructor. So we'll cover it there, that why we are redirecting the ID and how to use those fields, the default values like client, the logged in user, which you don't want user to input themselves. You want them to be selected by default, which they should not be able to change. So that is something which we'll cover in the next part. Okay. So I'll just give name. So let's say google@email.com. Password is 23456. Role, since I already know this is going to be client admin, so I'm giving the admin role. Let's say Google admin, and client I choose Google. As I mentioned, I can avoid choosing this if I can pass this Google in as a hidden field, which we'll cover in the later part of this video. So I'll click submit. So this will now add a team member to Google, okay, or to that particular client. If I go to the collection, let's go to users. So here you see a team member got added to client Google, right? Now this team member can log in and do a lot of things. So we have, so far we have completed the admin part and the database part, plus how to create new clients. Now we will jump to the part where these clients will create tasks for their team members. They will view invoices, they will create feedback and all those things, right? So let's start that. So we have created the client and we have added the team member, or basically the admin for that particular client. Now let's go and build the dashboard for client, so that when they log in, they see their data. They can create projects, they can create tasks, assign tasks to their team members, invite their team members, and a lot of things. So what we'll do, we already have a dashboard for admin. Now let's create a dashboard for client. So I'll create a blank dashboard, we'll copy the header and footer, and then we'll reuse the same header and footer for all the pages. So I'll say client dashboard. We don't want to copy from existing page, we'll build it from scratch. So now there will be two type of people who will access this dashboard. So one will be the client admin and another other people who are the client team member. Okay, because both of them can access it. It's just that the left menu, let's say, will change. So team members cannot add more team members. Okay, but client can do everything within the project. Okay, or within their dashboard. So I've created a page, client dashboard, and given the access to client team members, and let's go and build the header and footer and all those things. Okay, so what we do, you go to the snippets. Now let's create two snippets for client. So I'll say client header, okay, create. So now let's go to our bootstrap templates which we're using. Hero section I don't need. So there are a lot of headers. Okay, let's use this header, this one for the client. Okay, so I'll say inspect, just copy this one, header and the div. So let's copy both. Copy element, I'll come here, custom code component, and just put this code, and in the same code let's copy this container also. So we'll use this container for left menu and for the middle body part. Copy element, paste it, that's all. So this is here, right? This looks good. I don't think we need this here, so I'll just remove it. Actually, it's a mistake. We should have copied this on the details page, which we will do after this. Okay, I'll remove all this. Okay, now we don't need this section. This is good enough. We don't need search bar, so I'll just remove. Okay, and we don't need this part, so this also I'll remove. The complete ULLI we don't need. Okay, so this is good for now. Just keep it as a header. Now create a sidebar. Okay, so again go to snippet and I'll say client sidebar. Same thing, let's go to sidebar. So we have all these sidebars. Previously we've used this one. Now let's use I think this one will bring some JavaScript. Let's use this one. Okay, white one. So I'll just inspect and I'll use this sidebar. I'll copy element, come back here in the component, drop a custom code component, and this is paste it. So the sidebar is here. Okay, I'll go to the layer manager and just remove it outside of the custom HTML layer. This is fine. Previously we have seen that the sidebar comes with a fixed width, right? So let's just remove this and make it auto so that it takes the width of the container on which we are putting it. Okay, we don't need this part also, so I can just remove this. And this had active class, so I'll just remove the active class. I'll say, let's say client. This is an image. If you want, we can put some image. Okay, or we can bring the image from the logged in client, but for now just this. I don't know whether I'm putting in the right layer or not. Let's go from the layer manager. Okay, it's inside. I think it needs to be inside the link. I don't know. Let's fix the height. So with, let's say, 50 pixel. Okay, It's not looking good. I'll just remove it. Okay, so now let's change these options. Home, I'll keep dashboard. Dashboard, let's change it to projects. Then we'll say feedback. Let's say feature request. And then we'll set team members. And then let's add one more option, which is logout. Right, so these are the options for the client and the team members of the client. So what we will do, we will show the same sidebar to client admin as well as client team member, but this option should not be there. Client team member should not be able to add new team members, and let's say add tags. Okay, so I want them to do everything but not to add team members and not to add tags. This should only be done by the client admin. So what we do, we create one more sidebar which we'll just copy from this. So what we will do, we will go and create a snippet. So I'll say client team member sidebar. Okay, and we'll just copy from this. So copy from existing snippets, which is a snippet which is client sidebar. So we are creating two snippets now. One will be visible to client admin, other will be visible to client team member. And the difference will be in client admin, it will have all the option. In client team member will have only limited options. Okay, and then we will render them on the basis of their roles, and that I'll show you how that can be done. Okay, so client team member will not have this thing. They will not be able to add team members. Everything else remains same. So this is how it will work. Now let's go to the pages. Okay, so we have created a client dashboard. So let's implement the dashboard. Okay, so the dashboard is here. First, what I'll do, I'll just divide the page into two parts. Sorry. First of all, we'll just make the container as fluid, which is 100% width. Okay, and then remove this parent layer. You can keep the parent layer. It's just I prefer to just not have any extra div around containers. Yeah. Now this will make 2 by 12, and this we make 10 by 12. So this will be the left menu. This will be the nav bar. Okay. Now let's drop a snippet component. So I'll go to my components and drop a snippet for the left menu. This is a snippet. Let's say client sidebar. Right. Now you see this option handle via user role. So we want this role that on the basis of different role, change this sidebar. So I'll say super admin is not here, client admin. If the person is client admin, show client sidebar. If it is client team member, show client team member sidebar. That's all. Project manager, all these things you can skip. Okay, and that's all. So it will change on the basis of who is the logged in person. Right. Now let's go and drop the component snippet, which is a client header. So this will be remain same for all of them because I don't see there are any difference. So let's remove these extra padding, which we have done previously also. Right. So now we have a client dashboard which has these couple of things. Let me increase the height. Let's say 1000 pixels. Row should be column should also be I'm just thinking that, okay, why this height is not 100%. Okay. So this is it. This is client side dashboard. Okay, all these links are not yet working. Okay, let's first go to the snippet and fix the height. Just thinking like how this will get fixed. So this is the box. You see if there is a height, let's say 100%. Probability will increase. Yes, now it is here. You go to the client dashboard and see better. So the height is good. So I think we can fix in the admin side also, or super admin also. Okay. So now let's fix the login event. Now we need a few more things in login event. So I'll go back to my login event and fix this. So now I am saying when the logged in person is client admin. So while say if the logged in person is client admin, taking them to client dashboard. And if the person is client team member, then also take them to the client dashboard. Okay. So now we have added for super admin, client team member. Okay. We will add it for project manager also when we come to the project manager dashboard. Okay. So now let's log in with the client team member. Sorry, client admin. So we have created one client, I remember. So let's go to the user. We have created this client, google@gmail.com. So now if I log in with this client, it should log me to the client dashboard. So we are on the client dashboard. Okay, and all these options are coming. So now let's implement these things one by one. So projects will basically, they will see the project which they have created, feedback, their feedback which they have sent, feature request, their feature request, tags, team members. Now let me show you one more thing. Let's create one user as a team member. Okay, let's say Google team. Now I'll say this person is a client team member. For which client? Google. Okay. Let's say full name is Google team. I just want to show you something. So now we have two people for Google. One is admin, one is team member. Okay, team member and admin. Now let's log out from this person. I don't think we have implemented the logout yet. Okay, let's log out from this person and log in from a team member. Here you see the options were like previously you see the option were tag, team members and all these things. Now if we log in as a team member, we should not see these options. We should only see the limited options. So I log in. I log in as a team member. We will land on the same page, but the snippet will change on the basis of who the logged in user is. So here you see there are limited options. So they are still seeing the same page, but the options are different because it is loading the snippet on the basis of who is the logged in person. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again in the next video. Bye bye.